And now with no context, we will start the video. Hey, glad you could join us. Welcome to Open Mic Sessions. So today we're here, we're going to talk about the education system in Singapore. Heavy, right?
Chandra is the powerhouse of the South. Let's move on.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, I think we grew up with a fairly, for the four of us, fairly similar educational backgrounds. Then we have one boy over there who grew up with a slightly different educational background. Because we all came from the same poly. So now what we have in common is that we're all from the same university, right?
Yep.
So from your own past experiences, I want to hear from all of you. How has your own learning experience shaped you to who you are in university today? When I first came into our uni, I had a very bad culture shock. Just because there were so many people that were so smart. I don't even mean it like ironically. Like I go to my left, I go to my right, and there's like some guy or some girl who's like did super well for A-levels, or they come from a really like top JC kind of thing. And I was like,
Okay.
and just hearing the conversations, like seeing how they study is like making me feel the need to study more. In comparison to what I did in poly, which admittedly was pretty chill. There's still effort that went in, but it wasn't to the same extent that I did in uni, right? I don't know about you guys. Like for me, right? Like year 1, sem 1 uni, I had put in more effort into my academics than I had in 3 years of poly combined.
You better apologize to our poly right now.
No, it's just that, maybe its content was different, right? I enjoyed what I was learning in poly. I really did.
So you don't enjoy what you're learning in uni?
I do. It's just that, the foundation mods are always harder.
Yeah.
I had to take calculus when I got into uni, and that was my first time actually doing differentiation integration.
Oh.
Yeah, D over dx. It was
that's
my
bad.
very first time.
You didn't do it in Sec 3?
No, I didn't do
you
it. I didn't do
did
AMF.
Oh.
I didn't do AMF.
Yeah.
I had to find my friends to give me tuition, and these are people who like grew up like with like math. And I have a friend right who's from her degree is in math. And I met her every Saturday at a McDonald's near our place for tuition for math. And she was teaching me like what was to her primary 1 level math.
No, but I think that's the thing about math, right? Like, you definitely do need practice because you're only given like 3 to 4 months to get really, really good at one subject in uni, right? Whereas, I suppose a lot of these things require a lot more practice. Things like math, things like all the other stuff you learn in class,
So would you say that your previous schooling experiences help you clinch that A in math in uni?
I would say that the time that we were allotted in, like, say, JC to get familiar with certain subjects, I think it definitely, number one, it gave us time to practice. And number two, for a lazy guy like me, it gave me time to, like, build up enough panic in my system to actually start studying, you know what I mean? Because I'm not sure if you guys know, but up until prelims, right, I was failing everything. Like, my parents were like, oh yeah, I want this kid to go to, like, medical school. But the only like doctor I was being was Dr. Seuss because like my grades were literally SEUSS. S stands for subpass, by the way.
Okay, but I also think that it has to do with kind of how much we're learning also. Because when you're learning a diploma, the degree of difficulty and the degree of how in-depth the content is also very different.
That is
because
true.
when
That
you're
is
doing
true.
a degree, it's definitely going to be more in-depth.
That is
Like,
true.
you
Like
are
a
learning-
wider repertoire of stuff.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a lot harder and it's a lot more self-directed learning also. You
That
are
is true.
looked upon to do your own notes, do your own revision. But in like poly, they will still like remind
Handhold
you,
you and be
handhold
like,
you a
"It's okay."
bit. Sometimes like give you like homework or remind you that you have homework, kind of thing. And it's like very reliant on you. If you don't allocate the time to study, then you are screwed yourself, and it's on you already.
Context. 3 of us, so Mira, myself, and Clarabelle, were from the same poly and same course. But I think poly actually prepped me for uni. I feel like, okay, although I guess uni, the content is very different, right? Because we're taking a completely different, sort of degree. And the amount of content is different. In uni, we have definitely more content, right? I feel like poly prepped me for uni in the sense that, wow.
All right.
It really doesn't want me to talk today. You know what? We'll just roll with it. So at least for SMU, right, we have a lot of project-based stuff, and then we have things like SMUX, right? In that sense, I feel like poly really prepped us for that because we already know what it's like to work with a team that may or may not be there to support you. We know what it's like to sometimes have to tank presentations. And like presenting itself is not really a big problem, I think, for most of us.
I feel like if we go into that, if we deep dive, there's an hour-long podcast of like bad group meetings,
Yeah.
bad project
That's
experience.
another story altogether. But I feel like in that sense, it did prepare me, and especially for internships. No, but I agree with what she said. Like when I meant like prepping in the sense of
like pure grinding, because in poly we didn't have that like grind culture.
I would say it's a different kind of grind
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, it's different kind of grind culture, right? So I'm not used to doing a bunch of practices and stuff like that, because in poly how we study was so much more different. And then now it's like, you know, like I would say like the project things really does help. Maybe it was the diploma that we took in poly, but I felt like my poly days weren't really my poly days didn't prep me for what was going to happen in uni, which is ironic because I chose this uni because of the pedagogy, right? The pedagogy is very
Similar to our poly
RJ.
experience.
Yeah.
So come to Republic Poly if you like, you know, presenting, doing daily RJs.
Yeah, I was not prepared at
Cue the
all.
war zone background in the back, like RJs.
Speaking of grind culture, like what is the grind culture like in JC? Because since all of us don't know.
What's your
Or is there even a grind
what's your
culture?
dispute to us?
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I don't think I followed the very typical JC like path,
Okay.
or at least the path within JC, because
Okay, what is the typical JC path?
okay, like what you would assume would be like, oh, like you go in and everyone's like kind of like really good at studying, and then like people get like consistently good grades throughout, right? But the path that I took was that I think for a long time I put my my CCA first, because I was in the theatre club and like there had a lot of things going on, right? So I put my CCA first until about prelims time, when like the prelim results came out, and I realized like how like screwed I was, like properly. I only really picked up my pace after prelims, and if you know anything about like the timeline, right, it's about like maybe a month and a half out from A level. So like I learned basically about
2 years.
a year and a half of like stuff within a month and a half. The grind was intense, but it was short, right? Which I don't think is a path necessarily a lot of people took in that sense. But I kind of hate how you have to go through it like twice a year. You know what I mean? For me, I'm like, okay, just like make me suffer once and then like make it like done. You know
because
what I
JC
mean?
is just at the end.
Yeah, at
And
the
it's
end
a
of the
2 year
2 years,
slow
and then-
burn more.
Yeah, 2 years slow burn. Whereas I think maybe poly might prepare you guys better for this.
Yeah,
because
Poly was
Yeah.
like this.
it's
the
more of
same
a
structure.
consistent.
Every semester, then
Yeah,
what you
twice,
learn, you
twice
know.
a semester.
In that sense, it instills you with that kind of discipline to have that
it's
stamina to
cumulative.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
To
true.
tahan the slow burn.
That is true. Yeah, but the timing of it, like, I agree with you. Like how it's so spread out in poly, you kind of have a bit more leeway, and then in uni, everything is like due in the same week. Uni is like a combination of the style of poly with the rigor of JC. Because
Oh, yeah.
when I came in, like really, I just wasn't used to the pace of it. Like I'm not gonna study that much, but I had to. And then
That's
suddenly, like, oh my gosh, I've never worked this hard in my life. Like last I recorded, this felt like O levels. Like, you know, I had to learn like what 4 years of maybe not 4, like 2-3 years of content in like a month, and it was just pain on top of more pain, and that was my O levels experience. Like, I went to poly, like I'm walking on the breeze, right? Most of the time, right? And then I went to uni, and don't forget, right? For guys, we go to army or we go to NS, right? Then your brain starts to rot
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit,
absolutely.
right? There's this thing like when after you wear the helmet, your intelligence drops by a little bit. By a
Little
little bit,
bit,
I
like
mean
half,
a lot,
dude,
like a
like-
lot, yeah.
For legal reasons, we're kidding SAF. Haha.
Government wants to know your location.
You know, so in army, you're not that intellectually stimulated. How about that, right? You're not intellectually stimulated.
No.
So-
Apparently, it depends on your vocation.
Okay, I kind of was actually. Were you?
Yes, I love army.
But I think the grind was quite consistent through poly. At least, okay, I think it started from like year 2. And then it was like consistent, like we were doing like the late night things, those projects. It was a lot of submissions due. But submissions was still quite pissed out. So I think it was still okay. For uni, that's a different story. Because,
Wow.
because I feel like all submissions are crammed.
I mean, we're all in agreement
Yeah,
here for
this is
uni
the part we
submissions.
all can agree.
We've
and
been through it.
understand, right?
We felt it.
I definitely felt like I could get away with like studying within like the last like 1 week just before a module, before my exam.
In poly,
In
one
poly.
day.
We were worse, yeah. We
Okay,
did it
well,
one
maybe
day.
like
One
one.
day.
Okay, maybe 3 days. 3 days. I remember the 3 days. I'm sorry. I always started
I was the same,
earlier
one day.
before.
High
y'all.
achiever right here.
So
No, it wasn't like
basically,
high
right,
achiever.
we were the 3 of us have been friends since poly. So how it works, right, is Clara would do her assessments like way earlier.
Like the test
and then,
papers.
And then she will ask me and Jasmine, babes, have you guys done it? And we're like, haha.
We haven't even downloaded it.
Then I have to send it to them, you know.
We'll send you our answers later, okay? And then the day
Of
right
the exam.
on the night before the night of the exam, right? Like hours before the exam starts,
We will
we're like,
start
okay,
doing
we
it.
start furiously doing the papers, and then we just send it over to Clara, and then she's like, I'm pretty sure.
I'm already done. She's
pretty
like, I'm
sure
already
she-
done
she-
preparing.
Yeah,
What was that
I'm
for?
sure she doesn't even check it. Like, did you check
I
our
don't
answers?
check with your answers.
wow.
Are you sure?
Like late at at night.
I have to
Late at night
check,
when we
I have to
send.
check,
She's saying this to preserve
Yeah.
our friendship.
No, okay. I have to say why I do like a 3 days in advance kind of thing. It's because I factor in procrastination time for myself. Because I know I will never ever sit through properly and then like do the thing. in
Yeah, but that's the
day.
thing, right? Like that's for me as well. Like if I start too early, I procrastinate too much, knowing I had that much
Yeah,
time,
Same,
time
yeah,
ahead.
same, yeah.
Right?
I need to feel pressure. I need to feel
So-
like the looming
Panic.
weight of
Yeah,
like,
you need to panic.
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
that panic,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
It's
if you're
this
calm,
adrenaline rush.
Right.
Clara's just there like, we all are weird.
Right.
No. As in, I understand that concept, but I already panicked like 3 days before.
So a panic is brought
I'm
forward.
like-
lah.
oh, so you
She pre-panics
pre-panics.
before the real panic.
she pre-panics,
Yeah.
then she studies, then she panics again.
Yeah. So I let myself, like doing the paper halfway and then I stress, right?
You
then
know
I just like
You know, you're like
True story.
You know what's the thing is? The thing is, I think we all can relate to that to a certain degree. And that's Singapore's education system. You allocate time to panic.
Yeah.
I agree.
You
Like,
can allocate time to like cry and break down.
yes,
also.
like
Yeah.
crying 10
You know?
minutes, time's up. All right.
No, there was once,
Back
right?
to-
Yeah, time management.
There was once, I think it stemmed from this TikTok. There was a TikTok of a guy, someone in Singapore said that they heard the timer, someone's like phone
In the
timer
library.
went off in the library, and this person was like crying.
Oh, yeah.
And then, no, this person cried for like a good 10 minutes, and then the timer went off, and then they immediately just wiped their tears and went back to work. So Clara took inspiration from that, right? She was in the library studying next to me, and she set a timer for like about 10-15 minutes on her phone. And I thought she was gonna cry, but she started sleeping.
no.
And
Okay,
then
that's
she-
sleeping.
she
But
plugged
I
in-
actually
she
did a
plugged
5-minute thing.
Sleeping
She
sounds
plugged-
right
she
though.
plugged earpiece,
Sounds
she
okay.
plugged her
Sounds
earpiece
good.
into the phone, okay, thinking that it will ring in her. It's a kind of library that's like dead silent, like you. And then, 10 minutes went by, and I was just casually minding my own business, doing math, mind you. So I had to like draw like lines and stuff, right? Suddenly,
lines?
my pen went. You know why? Because her timer went beep beep beep, and everyone was just like looking at us. And I was just like, God, they wouldn't even know if it's me or her. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna continue doing what like it's not me. And then she woke
Friend
up.
of the year.
It's not like she woke up like with a startle, you know. She woke up like this. Did you hear that? And I was like, yeah. And she went back to sleep, and I was like, oh my
I didn't
God.
go back to sleep. I woke up.
No,
I woke up
you
probably
went
to
to
went to,
sleep.
no. I woke up probably to study. I remember because I looked at you and I was like, shit, did my alarm like
No,
ring?
you know
out
what they
loud?
say? They say that you block out traumatic memories of traumatic memories.
Dissociated.
How many cakes will John have? I'm like, 5!
So that added pressure from your home, in addition to your school and society at large, can really drive someone literally insane.
Okay,
Like,
yes. You know what's the weird part about all this? I like our education system.